Okay, so we're now recording. That did not hurt at all. Okay, so I'll start with Nelson, and then Londa, you're on deck. But Nelson, can you remind me what you view your main job as? Like, pretend we just bumped into each other at the grocery store, and I ask the very American question of like, what do you do? How would you describe what you do?
I oversee all fitness aspects for the recreation department, so classes, attendance specialist, fitness events, the budget, all that kind of stuff.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So Alonda, you're next, and then Riley, you're on deck.
Yep, it didn't work. Yes, ma'am. So I'm getting feedback. I don't know if that's me or what.
It's just because there's so many computers logged in,
Okay,
but you're
got it. Okay, so I am the general program specialist. I am in charge of camps. I oversee that. Different types of classes for all different ages, including tennis, soccer, different fun classes like unicorn play, mommy and me stuff. Just a little bit of everything, pretty much.
fantastic. Thank you so much. So
Yes, ma'am.
I forgot about the ma'ams. Yes.
I forgot to. I'll stop.
No. It's totally fine. It's kind of adorable. I just forgot. It just makes me feel good that I like brush my teeth and put a bra on and stuff. Okay. Thank you, Alonda. Riley, you're next, and Garrett, you're on deck.
So my name's Riley. I'm a full-time lifeguard, so I just do stuff with the pool.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Garrett, you're next, and Shelby, you're on deck.
My name's Garrett. I'm a recreation specialist. What I've done in the past is sports leagues and sports tournaments. I know that's going to be changing with the move to Thrive, so I'm excited about that.
Excellent. I know Thrive sounds very exciting. All right, Shelby, you're next, and Terry, you're on deck.
So I'm Shelby, and I am the active adult specialist. So I do everything active adult programs, special events, day trips.
Wonderful. Great. Thank you so much. And here comes Caesar. So I'll let Caesar get set up. So Terry, you are next, and then we'll make Katie be on deck so that Caesar has an idea of what is going on.
Hi, I am the customer service specialist for Thrive. I oversee part-time staff, and we are getting the feedback here.
Yeah, you're using actually someone else's microphone. So if you unmute what the device that you have logged in on, that might help a little bit.
Okay.
There you go. Perfect.
Does that help? Customer service specialist. I work with Darren on the operations side, rentals, memberships, things like that, making money for Thrive and the city.
Excellent. We like to make money. That sounds fantastic. Okay, so Katie, you're next, and Gabrielle, you're on deck.
My name is Katie. I'm the program specialist at Thrive. So I oversee all of our general programs, our special events, and our active adult programming. And I also handle all of our Thrive marketing as well.
Excellent. Thank you. You were also the master behind the website. Is that correct? Hey, I remembered something. Okay, Gabrielle, you're next, and I think it's Jose. Is that correct? You didn't rename your thing, so I'm guessing.
Oh, okay. My name's Gabby. I'm the special events specialist for Thrive.
Great. Special events. There you go. And I made note of Gabby, so I don't have to keep calling you Gabrielle. You're like, it's not that formal, Jess. Okay, and then Darren, you're on deck, and then is it Joe or Jose? I couldn't remember.
I go by Joe.
Joe, fantastic. Okay, and then what if you bumped into a grocery store? How would you describe your job?
Yes, I work for the city of Louisville. I'm the aquatics technician. I oversee all the pool maintenance at 3 different locations. That requires anything from cleaning, repairs, gathering quotes, budgeting, and planning for the overall repairs.
Awesome. Great. Thank you very much, Joe. I appreciate it. Darren, you're up next. Caesar, you're on deck.
All right. I love this little space bar thing. I never know that existed.
I know. Come to me.
Stuff new every day. But no, I'm the operations supervisor, so I'm responsible for making sure we are providing A1 customer service, overseeing memberships and rentals, and then making sure everything runs smoothly in the building.
Awesome. I'm glad you like the spacebar thing. Just so you know, I am not a stable source for tech. This is just one, it's like an off thing that I know this one little thing. And because you do specifically customer service, I'm excited when eventually you find the Lori Guest's online programs that I think maybe you'll be learning about soon. If you haven't already learned about them, Hillary is nodding her head. I'm curious to see what you think about them too. So hopefully you'll like them. And if not, me or Lori are completely open to feedback, or just know, like, you know what, this is missing and we need a thing, then we'll make a new module. So sweet. Darren. Okay, Caesar, you're next, and then Hillary, you're on deck.
Hello, I'm Caesar. I'm the aquatic specialist for Thrive. Currently, I'm also working at the outdoor pools, helping them get ready for the summer season.
Oh, great. So totally slow right now?
Yeah, totally.
All I remember about growing up in Plano is Jack Carter Pool. That is all I remember. I'm assuming I spent 24 hours a day every summer there. That's all I remember. Hillary, I think you are the last one. Is that correct? Yep. So if I were to bump you in a grocery store, how would you describe your job? You have to do the spacebar magic or unmute.
So I'm responsible for everything Thrive related. So the operations, the programming, I have to answer for all of that, as well as the operations at the outdoor aquatic facilities.
Great. That's a teeny tiny job, right? Excellent. Well, it's helpful for me to have a little bit of context because I feel like I'm supposed to remember, and I just thought I'd be honest that I didn't remember. So the idea for today is this, when I was talking to Hillary originally around this, the activity is called What's on Your Plate? And what I think is interesting about it is that there's three kind of outcomes that come from playing along with this activity. So the first one is that most of you probably are aware that you have a job description. Based on that job description, you tend to be evaluated based on the job description, and how you're evaluated is like how you get raises and promotions and like very exciting things, right? But what I have found is that there's a ton of organizations, and y'all are a great example, is that you're moving into this whole new arena, is that there is a possibility that what you actually do in your job is not reflected in your job description, which means you're not actually evaluated for some of the stuff that you do. And some of the stuff that you do is, I like to call it kind of gifts in kind, right? So maybe one of you is the person who always makes the cupcakes for somebody's birthday, and you love it and it's super fun, but that's not necessarily part of your job description. It's not necessarily part of your evaluation, but you might be evaluated on like being a team player. Well, what does that mean? And I don't even know how to cook. Y'all don't want my cook. I am a team player because I don't cook for you. Like, that's not going to show up in my evaluation, right? So by doing this activity, we can kind of go to the chiropractor so that your perception of what your job is, but also what you love about your job, and maybe some of the tasks that you're like, I mean, it's a job, so I have to do this thing, but I don't really love it. So we're going to identify what you feel responsible for. Then you're going to be able to go through what you feel responsible for. Doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. I don't know what any of your job descriptions are, but what you feel responsible for, what you love, and what you're like not so excited about, but you feel responsible for it. And then have a conversation about what it is that you love and what it is that you don't necessarily love about what you feel responsible for. Now, what does this do? What is fascinating is that some people don't love doing things that aren't even in their job description, and somebody else really loves doing that thing. So if somebody else loves doing that thing, and it might even be in their job description, but just historically you have always been the person to do the thing and you don't even like doing the thing, then this is an opportunity to be like, this task is up for grabs. And then you might be able to like shuffle tasks. It is important to remind you, I do not work for the city of Louisville. I do not work for HR, nor am I your boss. I'm some crazy lady from California. So it is just an activity to generate a conversation with you, your coworkers, your supervisor, to be able to love your job, right? Like whatever that means. So I'm going to lead the whole group through kind of an activity for you to think about it. Now, one more little piece. This is not necessarily COVID related, but you also, rumor has it, have personal responsibilities. And personal responsibilities are a time sucker. And so they also count. And so when I ask you to record your responsibilities, I want you to also record personal things that you are, it's important to mention we're going to be talking about them. So if you have a personal thing that you don't want to talk about, which is totally realistic, just put a little symbol on a post-it note so you know what it is, and then you don't have to talk about that one, but it's still a responsibility that's on your plate. And if you have responsibilities that are personal that you do want to talk about, then you can kind of articulate those. That way you're dealing with what your actual bandwidth is dealing with instead of just what the job description says. Hillary very easily could have emailed me a sheet of paper that has everyone's job title and job description on it, but that's not actually reflective of how you actually spend your work time. Almost always. It's usually missing something. So then I like to do this activity instead. So while we're going through, you are welcome to use the chat box if you want to talk with me directly or you want to text with the group or something. But what I want you to do is kind of your own home study first. So you need a sheet of paper. You can draw a big circle on it like a plate. I'm pretty fancy, so I usually make mine look like a TV dinner. So this is not a frowny face, this is a TV dinner. But if you want to, just draw a circle or something on your plate, on your piece of paper. And then what I want you to do, bless you, I couldn't hear it, but I could see it. I'm going to ask you to do is anything that you think you are responsible for, one thing at a time, you're going to put on little bitty Post-it notes, right? So like, I have to feed my dogs at 6 o'clock, whether I like it or not. Collectively, they weigh more than me. I'm responsible for feeding my dogs at 6 o'clock. So that would be a Post-it note. So I also have to file taxes, which means I have to do bookkeeping and accounting and all of that kind of stuff. That might be 4 different little Post-it notes because it's different things I'm responsible for doing. Does this make sense? So it's not a competition. At the end of this, your plate will kind of look feathered like a bird, and I'm not ruffling any feathers. Boom, boom. But I want you to be able to articulate what you feel responsible for. Personal, professional, doesn't matter. And just stick them on your plate. Doesn't matter where they go. That way you can share eventually what all you feel responsible for that you like and you don't like. So I'm going to mute just so you don't have to listen to me like type and check emails. But I'm going to give y'all maybe like 3 to 5 minutes. I'll check in 3 minutes, see how that goes. Did I get a thumbs up or something? Does this make sense? Is this clear? Good job. Caesar, does this make sense? Good job. Okay. Hey, you're about halfway through the 3 minutes, so I'll check back in a minute and a half. And Kaylee, I'm sorry, I forgot to ask you if we met in a grocery store, so I'll come for you as soon as we're done. A good question came in chat. So you're not actually writing on the sheet of paper. The paper is your plate. You're actually just writing on the Post-it notes, and then we'll shuffle them around on your plate. Okay, that was 3 minutes. I'm going to assume you need a couple more minutes. Great. Okay, that was 3 more minutes. Darren, because I can see you, do you feel like we need more time, or is that enough time? You are the random person.
I think we're good.
Okay, fantastic. Look at you with your fancy Zoom skills. Okay, so if that was the time for you to write down the responsibilities that kind of came to mind, I would like to just give you permission that while we are chatting, there is a very good possibility you're going to remember, all right, I do that thing in the winter because it's summer and you're not thinking about it, so just make a new post it note. It is totally fine. I can't even see what you're doing, and you're not going to have to fax it to me. So before we get moving forward, I forgot Kaylee. So Kaylee, if we bumped into each other in a grocery store and I said the typical American question of, hey, what do you do? How would you briefly describe your job?
I'm a full-time lifeguard for Thrive, and we're currently training the outdoor staff for the summer pool.
So you're also bored, is what I hear, because there's nothing going on, right?
Oh yeah, totally.
Totally. Great.
I'm very good at cleaning now, though. My cleaning skills are awesome.
Excellent. That is great. And an excellent segue. So when you are looking at your post-it notes, what looks like a frowny face, but it's really not meant to be a frowny face. On your plate, we're going to go back in time to my Gen Xer latchkey kid days. I have a therapist. So I grew up on La Menu. Do y'all remember La Menu? No, because you're too young. So they were terrible, terrible, terrible TV dinners you put in the toaster oven because we didn't have microwaves yet because I'm old. And then eventually they came up with fancy ones where you put them in the microwave and they're terrible because everything turned into rubber. So toaster oven TV dinners came with a meat and 2 potatoes. And in this little space right here was a little Andes mint. That was your little dessert right there, a little Andes mint. Okay, so what I need you to do is to look at your little baby Post-it notes. And I am going to use my perspective on this, but the Salisbury steak was my favorite, hands down. Then they had mashed potatoes on the picture, but it was actually mac and cheese. Shh, don't tell anyone. So that was my favorite, mashed potatoes, even though it was actually mac and cheese. And then there was, of course, peas, which sometimes were snow peas, sometimes the little roly bits. They were terrible. So, Salisbury steak, secret mac and cheese, and peas with a teeny tiny little Andes mint. So what I want you to do is to look at your little baby posties, and I want you to pick them up and put them down somewhere on your plate where you have your favorite part, your least favorite part, and then a collection of things floating in the middle. So my Salisbury steak, my mac and cheese, which was actually mashed potatoes, and then everything else would go in the peas place. So doesn't matter. Just take them personal, professional, don't matter at all. What do you love? Salisbury steak. What do you really not like? Like, I mean, you do it. No, but it's over there. Maybe it's stressful. Maybe you don't get paid enough to do it. Maybe you don't get paid at all to do it. Maybe it's boring. Maybe it's taxing. Maybe you're just tired of it. I don't know. Peas, right? So put the things in the peas and then leave everything else kind of clumped together in the middle. I'll give you like 3-ish minutes to do that. You're about halfway through your 3 minutes. Okay. As you're kind of wrapping up your sorting job, of the things you love the most, one of them, maybe two, are the secret Andes Mint. Of the things that you love, what's the thing that you love more than anything? And that's what you love, 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 love about your job that you are responsible for. If you have an Andes Mint, every once in a while you'd get a Le Menu that did not have an Andes Mint. It was very annoying. And I would like for you to know, which is a little bit of my character development, I would write a letter to Le Menu every time I did not get an Andes Mint. And back in the day, customer service, they would mail me a bag of Andes Mints. The first time this happened, I was in 5th grade. I never lied, but every single time there was a missing Andes Mint, I would write another letter and I'd get another bag of Andes Mints, because that is how customer service works. So, of your favorites, do you have an Andes Mint? If some people don't, but if you do, what's your Andes Mint? So as you are placing things, my hope is that we can have a conversation where you can share your favoritist Andes Mint, or maybe what's close, something that you love, something that you kind of noticed about even doing the activity is also you're happy to share. And is there anything that you're like, I do not like this part of my job? That would be really helpful to know. So what I thought I'll do is I'm going to do kind of like we did during the introductions. I'll call on whoever is going to be first, and I'm going to say, Shelby, you're going to go first, and then Caesar, you're going to be on deck, right? So what you're sharing, Shelby, just in case you're like, oh my gosh, you just called my name. So what you're going to do first is your Andes Mint, or something that you really, really like, what you kind of thought maybe about this whole process. And do you have anything that is like a pea that fell on the floor and you don't like it? And you don't have to have all 3 answers, but if you do, this would be the time to share them. So Shelby, you're up first. Caesar, you're on deck. Don't forget, oh, good, you unmuted yourself. You're a pro. Good job.
I am a pro. So my Andes Mint, I guess, is using creativity during my job to plan low-cost events. So I don't know, one of my strong suits is definitely my creativity. And then the one thing I don't like is budgets. So I have to do budgets for like day trips that we take and how much money we spend and what we get from them. And I don't like doing that because I don't like Excel.
Yeah, Excel is a thing. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing. Do you have any thoughts in general about the process?
It was cool. It was interesting to see what all I could come up with.
Mm-hmm. And you may come up with other things as you're listening to other people. So thank you for volunteering to go first.
You're so welcome.
Okay, Caesar, you're up next, and then Katie, you're on deck.
So my favorite thing to do is going to hiring events, going to the high schools to recruit potential lifeguards. I enjoy interacting with them. Same thing as Shelby. I hate doing budget. I hate looking at budget sheets. It's not one of my favorite things to do, to project revenue and expenses.
Yeah, awesome. Any thoughts or comments about the process itself?
It's very difficult to really put it all together, what it is you do. I'm sure there's things that I do and I forget, so.
Yeah. Well, and imagine if you're like the HR person not at a pool, but is just typing up job descriptions, right? Like that's why sometimes there's so much distance between the actual job description and the actual description of what someone actually does at work. So thank you very much. Okay, Katie, I think you were up next, and Hillary, you're on deck.
So I had as my special mint, or Andes Mint, along with what Shelby was saying, the creativity that I have and kind of the freedom that I have as far as new programs and marketing material goes. But another thing that I paired with it was keeping up with the trends of Parks and Recreation. And a lot of that ties back to marketing for me. I love the marketing side and the promotion side of programming. The lowest on mine, and this will be no surprise to Hillary, is writing policies and procedures, because that kind of nicks the creativity part and puts you kind of in a box, which we need, but it's always a battle between those two. So that's the lowest on my totem pole.
Excellent. And fun fact, being low on the totem pole is also very important, because there were earth gods and sky gods. So I didn't really understand this until a number of years ago. Lower in the pecking order gets to like birds being violent to one another. So FYI. Okay, any thoughts about the comments or process in general?
I thought it was interesting when I grouped mine in the 3 different kind of categories, if you will. They all were very relatable with each other. So it was easy to kind of clear cut what my favorite thing is, what's like meh, and what's my least favorite. So.
Excellent. Okay, great. Thank you. Hillary, you're up next, and then Darren, you're on deck.
All right, so my Andy's Mint is I love making presentations about Thrive. I'm normally not a get in front of people, speak to them, but it's when I get to the topic of Thrive or something I'm excited about, I can talk forever about it. And that's become kind of this new love for me. I feel my job is very nebulous. I'm responsible for Thrive, responsible for the outdoor pools, but there's not a lot of specific tasks associated with it. But that's one that I can clearly pick out and define that I just love. So on the flip side, and this has always been my least favorite since moving into a supervisory type role.
Working with external consultants?
No, I actually enjoy that. However, team member discipline, like it just eats at my heart. I'm very much a feeler, and separating that I like these individuals, but I have to do this discipline action. It's very hard for me. It's challenging emotionally, and I hate to do it. I hate being put in that situation. It's a necessary evil, and it's not really evil, it's to help guide, but it doesn't feel good to my heart when I have to do it. So just from the field side, it's very much a struggle, even though I know it's a necessary to our team progressing and moving forward.
And just because I know you, I would imagine that there's a possibility that I'm going to use the word confrontation just because it's like an icky conversation that hurts your heart. But there's like baby step confrontations that like you might possibly even avoid because there's so little. And then when it gets to a big one, it really hurts. So then you might respond back to do a bunch of little ones so that you can avoid the big one. They all suck.
Yeah.
It's all peas. Blech. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, Hillary. So Darren, you're up next, and Joe, you're on deck.
All right. My favorite thing is I just like people. So I think that's why I like the whole customer service thing. I think I'm very good with people, which is weird because naturally I'm very quiet and reserved into myself. So if you catch me outside of work, I mean, I hang with my friends, they'll tell you the same thing. I'm the one that's always in the background. I'm the one that really doesn't engage in a lot of like conversations or whatever. But when I'm at work, I'm a totally different person when I'm dealing with people. So it makes it weird. I don't know why I'm that way. I just am. So people at work will probably say, oh, you're funny or you're outgoing. I'm really not. But it's just something I can turn on and turn off at work. But once I leave, myself, I go into my cocoon and just be me. And I enjoy that. And I don't know why I'm that way. Don't know where it comes from, but that's just me.
Are you a Gemini by chance?
I am a Gemini. June 4th.
Yeah, should look that up. And happy almost birthday.
Thank you. And then I say it all the time. I got 2 things that I do not like is budget and social media.
Got it.
So I'm not a social media person at all. I don't really do it in my personal time. Just one of those things. I think people are nosy. I think people get in your business. So I try to, outside of work, I try to stay away from it. Of course, I like the little funny memes and things like that, but try to leave it alone. Budget, I'm good with my own money, but when it's somebody else's money, it's like a whole bunch of numbers start going through my head and it's just like I'm lost. I feel lost and I can't figure it out. I don't know why it's like that, but I'm good with my own money, of course, I guess because it's mine, but it's just one of those things. And when you're talking about it, it goes into like a blank stare. It's like a whole bunch of numbers running through your head, and now I'm confused and I'm lost.
Got it. Any thoughts on the process?
I like it. I mean, I know what my job description is, but but everything that I wrote down every day is totally different. I get so many different emails. Like, I mean, working under Hillary and with the whole construction process, there's things that I never would have thought I would have done before. So everything that I wrote down, I know what I'm supposed to do, but it never ends up happening that way a lot of times because it's something new all the time. I'll get an email that's just far off from something that I've never done, and I have to try to figure it out or ask a lot of questions, which is, I mean, you know, I'm down for a challenge like that, and then you learn a lot that way as well.
It's interesting is that if there's archetypes in teams, I usually refer to this person as the catcher. That like one of your biggest responsibilities is like, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Like the emails coming in or whatever, like I don't even know what that means, but I got Google, I'll figure it out. So kind of.
And I feel like that. I feel like that a lot. You know, just like going into the whole COVID-19 thing, I had a task list for myself, but it didn't happen. I mean, because every day it was something totally new. Whether it was an email that took me a half a day to try to figure out, or so. I mean, it's just something totally different than my job description. And so that's it. It's a good thing because you're learning, but then it also frustrates me because it takes me away from what I'm supposed to be actually doing.
Excellent. And also a very good job for a Gemini. And again, happy almost birthday. So
thank you.
2 worlds at once. So who did I say was next? Joe, I think. Joe, which makes Gabby on deck.
Okay. For my Andy's Candy, my favorite thing to do is just doing repairs. I like using my hands. So I like anything to be mechanical, I guess. So just anything to where I can physically repair something or move it around or task oriented, I guess. I just like using my hands for work. I think that's just something that I like doing. So I put, I'll just go like my big Salisbury steak, I guess. As checking chemicals, I guess it just reminds me of being a guard and just going back in the day of just routine checking the chemicals. So I just put that as like on my bigger platter here. The second thing I put on, like, I guess I just went in, like the second thing that I didn't or don't like as much. I putting in the vacuum in the pool. I don't mind. It's just, that was just the order I put here, I guess. And then lastly, I put filling it up the pulsars in the acid. Just a task that has to be done. So it's just not something I'm really excited to do, but I just knock it out.
That's awesome. How you describe fixing things with your hands is exactly why I like Excel. Because you can move all the numbers around and then all of a sudden it's like, bling, it worked. What? It doesn't mean it's going to happen in reality, but I can like flip and move and make things pretty colors and I don't have to go outdoors. That's why I like Excel.
Yeah, I like creating. So I like building something or making something, designing it and showing it alive, I guess.
That's awesome. Any thoughts about the process?
Just that I'm very task oriented, so I like to plan out my days as much as possible. So that's kind of how I arrange this whole everything on here on my plate. So I just start from the very beginning of my morning, and you know that's where I start planning, you know, and just start what I need to do for the day. And that's how I put it on paper here.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, thank you very much. So Gabby, you're up next, and Terry, you're on deck. You're muted, Gabby. You can do the thing.
Yeah, that's okay. Okay. So I like doing like creating marketing content, but like finding different ways to like market, you know, maybe doing like creating like a video, or like, I don't know, just different ways to reach out to the community, which I think like also connects with like the customer service. Like I really like connecting with the customers and with the community. So I think that's kind of what I mean also when it comes to marketing. I like to create this stuff, but I like to find ideas that'll work to be able to connect with the community. And then what I don't like, or is sponsorships, finding sponsorships. I don't know, it's just not my favorite thing. But, yeah. So.
Great. Any thoughts about the process?
It was a little difficult because since COVID, things have changed a lot, and COVID, I think, affected a lot of special events. So I kind of didn't know what to put because I don't know what's going to happen. So it was a little difficult. I didn't know what my main responsibilities are.
But it's good to articulate, like, I don't know, but here I am at work, right? Like sometimes you don't always feel like you can say that because you feel like you're supposed to know, but when you don't know, if you feel like you're supposed to know and you don't know, then how do you say, like, excuse me, what am I doing here? So that's really important. How do you feel about social media, just out of curiosity?
I like it.
You just got Darren's attention.
Yeah. I don't mind it. I think it's, I don't know, I like the marketing aspect of or different ways people market through social media. I think it's interesting, and people find really creative ways to do it and utilize, what's on there. So
if you're creative and coming up with marketing stuff and you use social media, you know what also happens? Sponsors come knocking at your door. Weird. They come knocking at you instead of you being like, hello, give me money. Interesting. Okay, thank you very much, Gabby. So Terry, you're up next, and Riley, you're on deck.
Well, okay. What I like that I've been doing, they tell me prepare a schedule for this, prepare a list of how we're going to do that. I like programs. I've started getting into Amelia a little more. Up until now, I haven't been all that involved. But the more I look at it, I like the logic of it. I'm a logical person, and that's what I like about the programs, and making schedules and researching and making numbers add up correctly and all of that. Another part of being in Parks and Rec that I like is being able to work with other departments in the group. We're going to do camp pretty soon. I'm helping, we've got going back to the senior center, that although that's still part of Thrive, but and then the events that the city used to plan, and getting involved with everybody else in the city. I like that. I like the intermingling of people and ideas. It's how you make your connections. It's how you get to a new place 2 years from now or whatever. What did they used to call it? They used to call it, I don't know. Anyway, it's how you connect. My least favorite thing, I guess, is trying to come up with ideas for social media, how to promote membership and all of that. And I always say I'm not a creative person. I'm a logical person. That makes me a non-creative person. But every once in a while I'll come up with something good and amaze myself. But that's about it. I like working with the team. I like being part of this team. Everybody is familiar with the whole Parks and Recreation thing. That's not where I come from. So they're speaking a different language, but I'm learning a new language, so that's always good.
That's exciting.
And it's just a good team to work with. But again, I like the programming and creating the documents and the lists and the schedules and looking through Amelia and seeing what I can do and being amazed at how simple and logical it is. It's just, I enjoy that.
That's awesome. How do you feel about Excel?
You know what? I took I took Excel maybe 30 years ago. And then in the last maybe 5 years, I took an Excel class, and to find out that you can find and do anything with a right click just totally blew me away. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, I just learned this yesterday, so I don't use Google Sheets very often.
I was just going to say Google Sheets I just don't get yet, but that's okay.
Yeah, I don't understand. I'm old. I just know. But guess what you can do in Google Sheets? You can go into a cell and say, like, type in all your data and then go into a cell and say, I'm looking for, like, let's say all the states I've spoken in, because I used to have a job that involved airplanes and me going places. So all the places I've spoken in, I can, in a Google Sheet, in a cell, I can say, what states have I visited the most? And because it's a Google Sheet, it connects to artificial intelligence, looks at the data that is on that sheet, and guesses your answer for you.
Whoa.
Whoa.
I'll have to
That's
look
like
into
almost
Google Sheets a little more.
Noodle. Yeah, we'll see. Anyway, thank you very much, Terry. I appreciate you. Riley, I think I said you were next, which makes Alonda on deck.
Okay, hey. So my favorite thing about work is probably training lifeguards. I really love interacting with people and I love teaching. So that would be my absolute favorite thing. I love to do it. And then I don't have a least favorite thing. I haven't found anything that I absolutely hate. So and then I thought the process was really cool. It was hard to think of things that I do on a day-to-day basis. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you. And it's cool that you don't have to hate something in order for it to be work, right? You could actually just like everything. That sounds great.
Yeah, I really enjoy the fact that I like everything.
Give her the budget. Okay, just kidding. I'm kidding. Okay, so Alonda, you're next, and Kaylee, you're on deck.
You got it. So my favorite thing that I love about my job is, I feel like this is a copycat answer, but I'm a really fun person. I like to have a good time. I like to make people smile. So creating those fun new programs and seeing people smile, like, really fills my heart, honestly. So being able to express myself and then bring that joy to others, I think is what Parks and Rec is about. And so having my backyard chicken class, which, you know, some people might have never thought would be a thing, is like, that's what's fun to me, is making those things a possibility for others. So that's what I really enjoy, just both in my personal life and at work, honestly. You know, doing summer camp, playing with kids, I really love all that stuff. So Park and Rec is definitely for me. As far as my least favorite, I'm so scatterbrained sometimes. I always have like 32 tabs open in my head. I feel like I'm honest, I'm not the most organized person. You should see my desk right now. I moved all my junk in here, and it's just super crazy. So having to organize all my programs as far as like, is soccer going on right now? Is tennis going on right now? Did I pay them? Because I don't play with people's money. Like, opposite of Darren, I'm trash with my own budget. Like, oh my gosh, I could spend money all day. But when it's other people's money, I don't play. So I'm like, did I pay them? Like, oh my gosh. And I have like 6 different programs going on, and they all get paid at the different time. And I'm like, oh Lord. So glad I got that off my chest. Thank you. But as far as the process goes, I always love stuff like this. I love self-reflecting on myself. It's like, do I even do things? Do I even exist, kind of thing? Like, what do I do? It's like a dating app almost. Like, oh my gosh, I'm so boring. But when you sit down and do stuff like this and you think about like what you actually do, like, we all have a purpose in life and we all do things that affect each other. So I like doing stuff like this. So I enjoyed it.
Awesome. Well, wonderful. Thank you so much. So
yep, you got it.
Kaylee, you're next, and Garrett, you're on deck. P.S. Nelson, that means you're last. Okay.
Okay. I guess I don't know. I'm a stickler for safety and a stickler for the rules. So I like lifeguarding. Like, I like it, as it's kind of like my favorite thing. I do like making sure everyone's safe. I like making sure everyone's following the rules. A pet peeve of mine is when other lifeguards and other people cut corners and don't do things, or that's my biggest pet peeve. I don't really have one that's lower on my list. I don't really know. I don't really have one at any part of my job that I hate. But That is my favorite thing. I do like, I guess I hate when they don't follow the rules. I guess that is what I hate. When they don't follow the rules and they don't do what they're supposed to, and they'll cut corners. That annoys me.
Mm-hmm. You
So,
should do it the right way, right? That's why there's
yeah.
a way.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. What did you think about the process?
I thought it was kind of cool to write it all down. It's kind of fun.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Kaylee. Garrett, you're up next. Nelson, you're on deck.
All right. So as far as things I don't like, it's not that I don't like them. It's just if I had to pick something, I'd say cold calls, like calling members or instructors just out of the blue. Not a big fan of that. If they call me, that's fine. And then also budgeting, just looking at Excel sheets, it's boring. It's just lines and numbers, and it's not fun. As far as stuff, like my favorite things on the plate, I'd say planning tournaments and leagues. Like that's fun and rewarding in the end. So it's nice to see the end result from what you've planned.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And any thoughts on the process?
Yeah, it was interesting to kind of lay it all out. I mean, I even put some like my personal stuff I do at home, like taking care of my dog and making sure stuff clean and everything. So just laying it all out was very interesting.
Very cool.
To see.
Well, thank you for playing along. I appreciate it. So, Nelson, what are your thoughts?
I'd say my Andy's man is just kind of seeing the change in people, especially the physical change. That's why I like fitness so much. When someone's doing like 1 rep max or they're doing better on squats or something like that, I'm usually jumping around being a cheerleader, going crazy, and just like even more excited than they are about it. So that's like my favorite thing about the job is I get really excited when other people progress and like I see them do that. I get more excited than they do.
That's kind of fun.
I would say thing I don't like about the job is doing like SOPs and that kind of really detail oriented stuff. I'm still like, I think people kind of have 2 different ways they handle stress with decision making and doing stuff. Some people are really good at making a lot of easy, small decisions throughout the day, like 100 small ones. I would rather have 2 or 3 super stressful ones.
Ah.
So that's why I don't mind like doing sales and stuff like that, because it's chill, chill, chill. And then it's like, boom, athlete game time, like it's on, let's do this. So I'm like that kind of person. I get really drained from making a lot of small decisions that I think are kind of dumb. And like, it just drains me.
Interesting. What's funny is I just messaged Hillary and I said, it's funny is that there's usually somebody in the group who's like highly competitive, really like likes the big wins, like that kind of stuff. Sometimes that person is also detail oriented or like a process, like a flow chart. Usually there's someone who will mention their job well, somebody did, now I can't remember who it was, that there was an order of the day. Oh, it was Joe, that there's like an order of a day. So that's kind of like the flow chart person, but having a flow chart for the whole department or the whole programs or the process, you know, like, so then this is kind of how you would follow through the things. Usually that character, sometimes they're the same person, sometimes they're not, but they usually show up and then you speak. And I'm like, oh, well, that kind of speaks to that person a little bit. What did you think about the process?
I like the process a lot. I would say I'm not detail oriented. Hillary would tell you that. I hate structure in any form of structure.
Yeah,
like I hate when people say think outside the box. I'm like, nah, the stuff inside the box is important too. Let's just get rid of the whole box. Like, why are we messing with the box?
Very nice. Hard to put into Excel if there's no box, but that's okay. Yeah. It takes all kinds. Great. Well, first off, thank you all for going through this process. I really appreciate it. What I think is really important to remember is that when we're forming teams, you don't want a team that everybody says exactly the same thing, right? Same font, same energy, same way of describing things, because number one, that's a super boring place to work unless you happen to match that type. And then it's very exciting because it's so different that you're like, I don't even understand what's going on with everybody else. So by having a variety of personalities, a variety of interests, a variety of things you love and things that you don't love, and Andy's mints and like peas on the floor, by doing that and being able to have those conversations, you're actually a more effective team. I think it's really like a history of bad leadership books that thinks that everybody is the perfect team, everybody is sitting in a pool of mac and cheese and just is super happy. And I just don't think that that's true. I think that we're kind of all over the place, right? Like we can't all have every minute of our day be an Andes Mint. And it's also important to articulate what isn't an Andes Mint doesn't necessarily have to be a pee on the floor, right? Like there's a spectrum. So I know it's at the top of the hour, but I have one more little piece that I thought I would just ask, and not everybody has to participate. But one of the other things that I remember from being with y'all in person is that you're really a loving, caring group. And so I just wanted to give you an opportunity now that you've heard your team members say what they love or what are their Andes Mints or what they really enjoy about their job. Is there something you have noticed about them and their work that you think they're exceptional at? Hashtag compliments. This is the time to be like, you know what? When this is something that I think that you're remarkable at. I don't know if you have any thoughts or comments about anyone, but I think it's a really important thing that sometimes we don't even know how we impact other people. But if you have any positives or compliments that you see in someone else because they're your Andes Mint because of that particular skill set, I'm curious. Anybody want to jump in?
Yeah, I'll say I like that Darren can kind of switch up how he needs to be to kind of make it best for everyone, because I'm the complete opposite. I'm the same person every single situation I've ever been in life, which is good and bad. I was not like the most liked person at church because I was the same person outside of that as I am in.
Yeah.
So like when people are like that, I'm like, all right, like I respect that. I wish sometimes I could do that, but it's just not in me.
That's awesome. Congratulations, Darren.
And I want to say too that about Darren, that he's my idol. He is always positive. He is always up. He's just easy to work with, easy to be around, and is just, no matter what you throw on him, no matter what's piling up on him, he rolls out from under it, climbs up on top of it, and gets it done, and with a smile. He is my idol.
Oh, that's so great. We all need a Darren in our life. And Darren, I don't know if you're noticing, but you're getting nods and stuff too. So there's lots of seconds. Anyone else want to show some love?
I appreciate all of the words. I just said I'm not gonna pick out one person. I think just everybody in this group sounds like they have a passion for rec. I mean, and that's gonna take us a long way. I think we'll be successful in the end. It's gonna be a challenge getting there, getting the building open, but I think with everybody and the passion that they have and the knowledge that we have in this group, I think we'll do some big things.
That's wonderful.
Great. I rest my case.
Good example. Any other parting loves for each other?
I do have somebody, she's not here right now. She's actually my supervisor, Christina. She's very policies and procedures based. She's really good at writing those documents. So right now with all of these COVID procedures going on, I really miss her in that, being able to take care of those things, where I could go focus more on the hands-on stuff and, you know, training and hiring and all these other things while she's in the background doing these other things. And that's how I envision us working in the future. So she's really good at those things, and I can't wait for her to come back.
Oh, that's great. Also very strategic to compliment your boss. Good job. Great.
Well, she's not here, so.
But I have a recording. Okay, well, what I encourage you to do, and Hillary as the Jefe, one of the things that I think is good to do now is keep your plates. So as you proceed through the day, or maybe even tomorrow, you may think of another Post-it note. Go ahead and write it down, and then sort it on your plate and figure out where it goes. And then I encourage you, those of you that supervise other people or manage other people, is for you to also have this conversation with those folks, because if you have a leadership role, whether it's official or not, you have some evaluation of their performance. And that evaluation should be based on an accurate job description that may or may not be able to, quote, officially change through HR channels. But if y'all have a good understanding of what one thinks their job is and how they're being evaluated on what they think that job is, then you're connecting. And that really, really matters, right? It is also possible that some of the tasks may shift around. Like, as you know what people do like or what people don't like, maybe you can volunteer and be like, I actually really like this part and I'd be happy to take this on, especially as you're kind of building this new venture together. You have a really solid team who do really amazing work, and most of you at least have an Andes Mint, which is pretty damn exciting, right? So that's great. But if we'll be connecting again in the future, and if there's other things that I can do to help or something, please let me know. But I'm proud of all of you, and I'm proud of the work that you're doing, and I'm really excited to see what happens with Thrive. Any other kind of parting or last words?
Yes, I just want to say thank you for working with our team this morning. I'm sure we'll circle back around again as assignments shift and we grow in the building, because it's a totally different feel than what our teams had before. We've been so fractured all over the city. So we're still working how to gel under the same roof. So I'm sure we might have some follow-up discussions, but thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I know that it's still really fresh, so I don't know if this is like, I can't imagine that it's gotten passed out or not, but one of the other things that we've partnered with is a really good friend of mine, and just so you know, she's funnier than me. A really good friend of mine, Lori, and I built a curriculum specifically around customer service, and it has a ton of different modules that you can go in any different order. You have unlimited access for a year, knock yourself out. But what is also important, and we talked about this in person too, is that when you start working with these customer service modules, remember that these are the same skills in having those hurt your heart conversations and having coworker conversations and having evaluation conversations, supervision conversations. It's the same skill set. And when I left Louisville, what I noticed is that there's a skill set that everyone seemed to really have for the community, but that's exactly the same skill set that you can use with each other. And that's where most of the questions that have come in is like, but how do I do this? And I was like, well, instead of that person being your coworker, make them a random community member. What would you do? And they would know exactly what to do. So then like, okay, well then employ that with your coworker. So remember, as you're going through that curriculum, it applies to each other on your team, cross teams like Terry mentioned, other people across the city in other roles. There's the same skill sets, and you're golden. So I'll see you the next time we do a training together. I can't wait. Perhaps the world will not be sheltering in place and on fire.
Thank you.
More than welcome.
You.
Bye, y'all. Happy almost birthday, Darren.
Thank you. Have a good one.